Hello and welcome to Doubles and Trebles. It's the Dublin Racing Festival this weekend. 2 days of back-to-back Grade 1s galore, but over the jumps, which you don't usually see on this channel, and that is why I've got Andy Humphrey with me today. You might have seen him when we previewed the Arc last year and the year before, and he's actually going over to Ireland later today, and we'll be at Leopardstown on both days this weekend. So before we get stuck into it, Hump, why are you, as a British man who goes to Cheltenham at least once every year for the festival, why are you heading over to Leopardstown for the Dublin Racing Festival for the second year running?
We went over last year and it was good fun. It's the price of the tickets is insane, really. So we've got 4 Grade 1s on the first day, and the two tickets for the weekend cost €50 in total, all in. And then it's really easy to get to. There's transport, the Luas, you get on the Green Line, and from there it's pretty simple. You just walk up you can either get the free bus, you can walk up the road, whatever happens. But for €50, I mean, as a person that goes to French racing, it's only bettered by that, really. But for 2 days of Grade 1 action, it's incomparable, really. It's so much so that this year will probably be the first year in about 8 or 9 years that I won't be going to Cheltenham this year. I have no interest in going this year. I mean, they're reducing the capacity, which is what was needed. But the problem is it's still ridiculously expensive. But at least I can wear my pajama bottoms if I want to go now, so that's fine.
So you've paid €50 to go for 2 days at Leopardstown. So effectively, you've paid €25 on Saturday, where you will be seeing the Irish Gold Cup. Now, anyone out there that wants to, or you, Hump, if you want to go and see the Cheltenham Gold Cup in 5 weeks' time, it's going to cost you, if you want to buy a ticket now, £118. And for that, you do not get a seat or a race card or a bet or a drink. That's all extra. So, you know, they're saying that 1 in 5 tickets for Dublin Racing Festival this year has been sold to a UK resident. You're living proof of that. You know, there may be somewhat of a larger story there and all sorts of different questions about, you know, the number of races or the number of Grade 1s that clash, etc. But yeah, a bit of a shift and a good weekend to look forward to, even for a non-jumps fan like me. There's a lot of headline names in there that we're going to go through. Starting with the Saturday then, 4 Grade 1s back to back to back. Now, my favourite day in racing, Hump, is day 1 at Royal Ascot, where they have 3 Group 1s and a Group 2 in the first 4 races. This has gone one better, 4 Grade 1s back to back to back. I think there's only one place to start, the Irish Gold Cup, as we mentioned earlier. This Galloping de Champs is odds on and could be odds on for the Cheltenham Gold Cup if he does go and win on Saturday. Is there anything that can beat him at 1 to 3? It suggests probably not. This is going to be a theme of today's video. 7 runners, 4 of them are trained by Willie Mullins. Actually, the first 3 in the market, as you can see there. Willie Mullins bingo cards at the ready.
Yeah, it's a good race all the same, because it's a shame that we haven't got Conflated in here. Conflated obviously won the race last year. He came from the Sky last year to win it, and it was a good winner for Gordon Elliott, David Russell at the time. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be it's a buffet of Mullins horses, isn't it? Really, people are, I've nothing against Galopin Des Champs. I think he's a good horse. I think he's he's got the potential's clear. He's pretty much unbeaten, as you can see there. But there is a nagging feeling at the back of your mind that this horse hasn't been over 3 miles before, and 3 miles around Leopardstown is obviously, it's not 3 1/4 that you're going to get at Cheltenham, but 3 miles around Leopardstown is not an easy thing to get on your first try at it. Now, obviously, he missed Christmas. He swerved the Savills because he ran sort of a week before that. So we still don't know if he sees it out. But one thing we do know is that he's going against horses that will see it out. And that's it's difficult. It's difficult for me because you know that he's a really good horse, and you know that he's probably going to win. But you've got to look to see like Statler is in there, and Statler can run 2 days. If he wanted to run for 2 days straight, he probably could. He's won over, he won a 3 mile, what used to be the 4 miler at Cheltenham. He won over 3 mile 5 there on good to soft ground, which they're probably going to get at Leopardstown. They have been watering like it's gone out of fashion because that track is absurdly well draining. And I don't know, sort of, people will back Galopin Des Champs at any price by the sounds of it, and for me, that's absolutely fine. The one thing is, I don't know what the market is without, obviously, Galopin Des Champs, or if you want to stick Galopin Des Champs and Statler in a forecast, reverse forecast, whatever you like. But those are the two that are really sort of standing out for me. Any second nows in there, obviously for Ted Walsh now, he could be on the scene, but obviously he's probably got bigger plans. going towards Aintree at the end of the year, and then Ken Boy. I think Ken Boy's just had it, to be honest. I don't think he's there much anymore. And Fury Road, I'm not overly sure if he's much cop either. So it's interesting, obviously, to see that Patrick stayed on Statler. That's quite a good sign. Obviously, Paul Townend's picked Galopin Des Champs. I mean, it probably wasn't the most difficult decision in the world, but I think if you're going to play the race, you probably have to play either, a without market or a reverse forecast kind of market, to be honest.
Well, you're not going to get rich off either hump, but a winner's a winner. 4 to 5 Statler without Galopin. And for those that don't know, this Galopin was miles clear in a decent race at Cheltenham, as you can see last year, and fell. Gifted the race to Bob Ollinger, who's done naff all since, as far as I can see. And then he's had 2 starts this year, the Galopin, and he's won by 31 lengths and aggregate off. So he's about 11 to 8 for the Cheltenham Gold Cup at the moment. And if he wins this if he dances in here, he's like I say, could well be odds on by the next time we speak, Hump.
He could throw in a ridiculously impressive performance. He could skate round like he's not like it's a hat canter. He's a big old thing as well, by the sounds of it. I'm looking forward to seeing him this weekend. Apparently, he's an absolute tank. But people are putting him up as like the next Denman, the next Corto. Especially that's my kind of era of staying chasers. But he's got to go out and do it this time around. And it's not an easy race, but it's I think he's still got a lot to prove for me.
Yeah, good. Well, we'll go to the first race. A Grade 1 on the day that Willie O'Mullins doesn't dominate. Actually, he's got one in there. Don't get me wrong, but he doesn't dominate. We'll come on to that on the other races shortly. But Hump, I'll be honest, I know absolutely naff about any of these horses in the Grade 1 novice hurdle here. Just give us an idea of what you're thinking. And where would this kind of race lead for Cheltenham potentially?
A couple of these in here are probably going to be sort of aimed to, it's a 2 mile 6, so they can either drop down to the Ballymore, or they can carry on if they want to go up again to the Albert Bartlett. But you've got a couple of recognisable names in there. Obviously, American Mike's in there. He was touted as one of the best horses in Gordon Elliott's yard last year. Obviously, he came. We'll speak about Facile Vega a bit later on, but he came to challenge Facile Vega, who sort of kicked him out of the way in the bumper at Cheltenham, and he's done okay since. He's won a race. But then he was so far behind it at Navan last time out. I think he's probably still got a bit of learning to do, but 2 mile 6 might be his distance. Goodland I think he's going to be the one that he's going to be the one that people want. He was quite a clear favourite at the start of the week for Barry Connell. Now Barry Connell obviously has got a horse for the Supreme who's named Marine Nationale. Obviously he's going to go straight there, which is good for him. But this Goodland, he pretty much wazzed in over course. Leopardstown last year. Last year.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Last year. Sorry. Yeah. He jumped a bit right at the start and he was a bit floaty at some. But once sort of Mikey O'Sullivan really give him a kick, he went clear, and he went absolutely miles clear, and he does look the one to beat. But there's a couple in there. You said Mullins has got 2 in here. Grange Clear West, who just threw in an absolute wobbler last time. He wasn't interested. They found out he was coughing, so that gives him an excuse. Quai de Paris, don't really know much about Quai de Paris. 14 months off, came back in a 15-runner maiden 34 days ago. Probably will improve.
Imagine being off all that time and going off 1 to 5 in a 15-runner maiden. That's it. I mean, he justified it.
Yeah, it's madness. But the interesting one obviously is Nigel Twiston Davis's horse at the bottom. We've all been caught. Now, it's a good job we're sat down, because if somebody had told me we'd have an English entry in the Dublin Racing Festival, you probably would have fallen out of your chair. But fair play to Nigel, fair play to the owners who came out midweek and said, well, why the hell wouldn't we have a go? Why wouldn't we have a go at him? What can we do over here that we can't do over there? So he's going over. Obviously, Sam's going to ride, and he's a really good horse. He dossed in on New Year's Day. The runner-up's won since, and I think he's probably open to improvement now. I think he's about 5 to 1. I think he could easily, well, not easily, but I think he's definitely in with a huge shout of upsetting the party here. I think he probably is the biggest challenger to Goodland. And I would say that I would put him up as a win bet. I think he'd be the one I'd have in this race, just because he's got a lot of, I think he's got improvement in him. I know obviously Goodland has got the form in the book, 2 mile 4 around Leopardstown on soft ground, so he's stepping up a little bit as the sorry, as we've all been caught is. But I think of the two, I'd stick with Nigel, and he thinks a lot of the horse as well. So hopefully his thoughts come to fruition, and he can get it at least one winner in Ireland for England this year.
Well, they haven't got many chances
before Charlie Appleby starts banging him in at the at the Curragh in April, so May even.
They haven't got many chances to bag a winner. I think they've only 2 runners has gone over. I think it's an embarrassment hump. It's an absolute embarrassment. It falls perfectly just over 5 weeks before Cheltenham. The prize money's there. They're obviously Grade 1. They could be running against the best. I mean, and they've only sent 2 runners over. There's 8 Grade 1s in 2 days, and the Brits have only sent 2 runners over. I think it's an embarrassment. I mean, imagine what the Cheltenham Festival would look like if there was only 2 Irish runners. Let's put it that way. Let's put it that way, or even 4, because there's double the days. I'll give you 4. It'll be a joke. So yeah, there we go. Humps on there at 11 to 10 winner. 11 to 2. Sorry, win only. Big price for you, that hump.
It is.
This is odds on horse here, and I already know that you are on this young man to win at Cheltenham at a nice price. So I'm going to wish you good luck in the 155. Lossiemouth 4 to 11. I'm guessing you think that he just wins.
She's a really good horse. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, she's a really good horse. Well, she looks on the face of it to be a really good horse. Yeah, I've backed her in the. I don't normally do doubles either, which is kind of frustrating. But I backed her in a double with Chapeau de Soleil, who I hoped was going to run in the Grade 2 bumper this weekend, but he's not going to go. I'm guessing he's probably just in a ton of schooling races potentially around the Curragh, Leopardstown, those kind of places. But Lossiemouth, she's extraordinarily short, and there are a few that could. That could really sort of punch a hole in a sort of Galamarso. Obviously, she beat her at Christmas last time in the Night Frank. She probably wasn't much ready for that, I would say, because it'd been sort of 8 months since Galamarso had run that day, and that was back over in France, just over 1 mile 6 on pretty bad ground, to be honest. So I'd be willing to sort of. I don't think she's bomb-proof, Lossiemouth, but I think if there was sort of one to come and get her, I think it is Gallimard. So a lot of people have been talking about this gust of wind, who's actually yet to run for Willie Mullins. Is going to be the first time. Going to be the first time we see this horse on the track, and it must have been a big purchase because they won it was a soft ground 2 mile 1. Back in France, and I'm guessing it was trained by Daniela Meller over there, who's a really good trainer. But you don't know what you're going to get. That's reflected in the price. The price must be about 12, 14, 16 to 1, something along those kind of lines. But I think if there is going to be a horse that beats Lossiemouth, it will be Galamarso. But I wouldn't be rushing to have a bet in this race, to be honest. I'm as a person that's backed Lossiemouth, I'm just hoping that that we see a sort of put it up to what we all hope she was. The sad thing is obviously Blood Destiny, who's probably her closest challenger in the Triumph market, doesn't run for Willie. Now he looked an absolute monster last time, so we have been denied that. Unfortunately, Willie runs a lot of horses this weekend, but Blood Destiny isn't one, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, I don't think there's one in this that I would, if anything's going to beat Lossiemouth, it'll be Galamarso, but it doesn't interest me as a betting race, to be honest. Now.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, look, there's 8 runners in this, and Willie Mullins trains 5. I mean, you can't fault him really for having a go and not ducking and diving. People may criticise that it's Willie Mullins bingo all weekend, but I would this race and others look if there was if he was only to run 1, he trains the first 4 in the market here. It's crazy really when you think about it.
I just one thing I hope is that obviously. People have a go sort of at like Aidan for running so many and all these kind of things. You just hope that the jockeys who are riding these horses are going to ride them to the merit, if you know what I mean. You want to make a proper race out of it, and hopefully it's not being used for practice or anything like that. I hope they make them into good races. All the jockeys probably will. It's just you want to see good races with good horses, and I think you're definitely going to get good horses turn up. So I'm just hoping they turn into good races, to be honest.
And the theme continues, Hunt, because in the next race, there is 8 runners, and 5 of them are trained by Willie Mullins. Again, he's got the first 3 in the market in this one. The trend continues, although this one is open, more open, Hump, and there isn't any odds-on shot. So tell me what's going to win the Irish Arkle.
Well, We back Banbridge earlier on this week. I think the better ground is we backed it at 5-1, which is a bit of a shame because it's now it's now slid out to sevens. But there we go. That's
well done.
I didn't think Willie would run all five. To be honest, I thought he might send the he might send one elsewhere, but he's running them all, which again, as we mentioned, is really good. Appreciate it. It's obviously the short price Fav. He's looked really classy. Five runner event last time at Nace. Sort of, it was quite soft that day. So whether he's as good on better ground, we'll see. Obviously, he was the only time sort of he's run on something that's not been described as soft as at Cheltenham when he got poleaxed in the champion hurdle. He got poleaxed by Honeysuckle that day, but I think a lot of things did. There you go. But as we mentioned, we back Banbridge. I think the better ground is going to be good for him. They stepped him up last time to 2 mile 3. It was probably the ground was too bad for it that day. But if we look back to the Cheltenham run, that was on good ground at Cheltenham, and he beat Tommy's Oscar, who I think it was rated 155 at the time, and he jumped him into submission. To be honest, he absolutely wazzed up that day. So that was. I was
there that day. I was there that day at Cheltenham working, and he did win pretty well to this untrained eye, Banbridge.
Yeah, the thing with him is they've got the option here of if he performs well, he can stay. He can go to the Arkle if if he's seen that he wants further, he can go up to whatever the JLT is called now. I think the Turners. So one of them kind of ones. Yeah, there's going to be plenty. One thing there probably is going to be plenty of pace on because Dysart Dynamo won't die trying. Won't die thinking. Real 2 mile specialist. Danny Mullins is on, so what you expect from Danny Mullins is that there is going to be a pace because he's got a clock in his head that a lot of people could only dream of, to be honest. And career best last time out probably, but again that was a short odds, on soft, but it was over course and distance, so it's there's definitely claims there. People are backing San Roy each way, which isn't a bad bet, to be honest. The again course and distance winner. But then again, that was a 5 runner. I think that was last year as well. So it only beat Visionary in that day, who is about 1 million to 1 in this race, which isn't much cop for it. But it's anything can happen. And I think that I think if there is going to be one that beats one of the Mullins ones, which obviously is quite hard to do at this rate, I'm going to stick with Banbridge. I backed it each way at 5-1. I would definitely. I think it's advisable to go back at each way at 7-1 as well, because you're probably going to get I think there's 8 runners, so you're going to get you get that extra place, which is nice. And
you're going to have to back it again, Hump. You're going to have to back it again if it drifts back it again.
Well, that's right. So I think that Banbridge each way, but I wouldn't be surprised if Appreciate put up a really good performance.
Sound well. What's the best bet on Saturday then of those races that we've covered? Is it Banbridge?
I would. Yes. Yeah, I'll go with Banbridge each way, yeah.
Right, there we go. Nice and confident. Right, smashing straight on to Sunday then, Humpo. Similar script, 4 grade 1s, but spread across the card rather than the first 4 races, but we'll let them off with that. I'll start with a very, very rare jumps opinion. It's not really an opinion, I'm talking with my heart. Honeysuckle 2-1. I just think that is gonna idiots like me are going to be drawn in by that. This is a horse that won 16 races in a row, 2 champion hurdles, and then got beat last time and comes here as almost written off, in my opinion. State Man, look, obviously he's doing really well, and look at all them wins that he's racking up. But yeah, it certainly won't be betting, but I'll be cheering on Honeysuckle, that is for sure. Where do you stand on the champion hurdle, which is the feature of the Sunday?
I think she could finish 3rd, if I'm being truthful. I think she could finish 3rd. I think State Man, obviously, absolutely. It was a shock to see him win so far at Cheltenham, and all he's done ever since then is just absolutely hammering. Vauban again, since when he came to Cheltenham, he sort of hammered in as well. So there's 2 really, really, really good horses there that have turned into hopefully really good horses again this year. Vauban obviously has only had the 1 run where he was, I think he was obviously second behind State Man. But Willie was obviously seemed to be very cold on him. Said we didn't really want to run him. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that with him. Which is, if you don't question Willie Mullins, do you really? But I think that, Honeysuckle's 9 now. You've got to remember Honeysuckle is 9.
Mm.
And you've got Stateman who's 6 and Vauban who's 5. Now Honeysuckle could, she's had a really good run. She's been made of iron since she came through. But I really do think that she could finish third in this race. Obviously, it's one of them where, do we want to see that? No. Do we want to see a good finish? Yes, because are they potentially going to retire her if she doesn't do too well in this? The owners have said, look, it's champion or bust, but it could be bust after this race. I really do think that. Everything else in here, I'm not interested in. Pied Piper, Zanna here, they've raced at the top table, and they've come up with a lot of middling races. So I think you're probably looking at Stateman, Vauban, Honeysuckle, and in the 1, 2, 3 for me. And
right,
I think
that's obvious, but which one's going to win?
Stateman's probably going to win. I think he's going to be. He's probably going to come second to a who in the champion hurdle as well. The aeroplane, Constitution Hill. So will it just be sort of a nice win for them before they get mullered at Cheltenham.
Yeah, fair enough. Just on figures though, Hump, right? She got beat there with an RPR of 158, and we know they're only a guide, but that's not that much below where she's been running in a 4 previous race to that which she was winning. But obviously, and that I think that Tia Poo has gone on and won again on the bridle, didn't it, the other day? Odds on, I'll give you that.
That's probably going to go for a 3 miler, which obviously sort of shows it. But if you want to take the last run, obviously the last run was over 2 mile, nearly 2 mile 4. So we're back down to 2 miles. She could be back to her best. But I think that she won that race the year before, and I mean it wasn't much of a race. Saldier was in there, Stormy Island was in there. She beat Ronald Pump that day. He was 22 to 1, but she was 2 to 5 and won it fine. But I think that, if you're gonna get beaten by horses that stay over 3 miles, over 2 miles 6, you think, I've got something in my. It's just something like a feeling. I just don't think she's as good as she was. And I think the age thing, like I said, the age thing maybe just caught up with her.
Right, well, there's the headline. Hump thinks that Honeysuckle is finished, and we'll find out Sunday at 3:10. Right, where else are we going, Hump, for Sunday? You tell me.
Dublin Chase, Blue Lord will probably absolutely. That's the 2:10. That's going to be. That's probably going to smash in. I noticed that Daryl Jacobs been sort of relegated to So Royale, I guess, if you want to be honest about it.
Right, yeah.
So Blue Lord, obviously ridden by Paul Tarnan. I think he's just going to be, they're going to go plenty with him. And I think he's probably just going to win again. Theme of the weekend, not much of a price, but he just looks to be probably the best in this, to be honest. So I mean, fair play to So Royale for coming over. I don't know if he's going to be used as a pacemaker for Blue Lord, but Alan King, not one to shirk a challenge. He had the better of. I know he didn't win the race last week, but Edwardstone had the better of Energamine. So fair play to him for doing that. But yeah, Blue Lord is probably going to be one of the easiest winners of the weekend. I think, if we're being truthful.
Who's going to come second then?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's going to win. And if anyone who comes second, possible. Gentleman to me, maybe, but U46 is his last sort of, his last figures. Is definitely not something that you want to see, really.
And would Blue Lord be one of the favourites for the champion chase at Cheltenham at this stage?
I think it's looking like a really good race, the champion chase this year. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a pretty good burn up, to be honest. Obviously, Edwardstone put his name in the ring last week, and you've got Editor Jujit whether that mad thing can carry on going off in front as it did. But I think Blue Lord is definitely going to be up there, especially if he wins this weekend. I don't think there'll be many people want to lay him for that race now.
Do we need to look at the novice hurdle at 340, or do we just say that Facile Vega wins that one? She's 2 to 5-ish. He is 2 to 5-ish.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason to sort of just to argue against. To be honest, he's got the train track form, hasn't he? All the ones are in the book, so it's not going to have it all his own way potentially. You've got High Definition in there, who could be a real wild card, for Joseph and JJ Slevin. So I'll be interested to see how Facile Vega goes around it, to be honest, because I think this might be sort of the first real test, that he's had, because obviously he beat Elete Tom last time, Astro Diamond last time as well, and again did it very easily. But this high definition could be anything. I know. Obviously, there's form in the book with you and high definition along the from the past. So I don't know what your thoughts are on it. But he won by 4.5 lengths on debut last time. But did jump slightly right, which obviously won't help. Around Leopardstown, very sort of a left-handed track. So we'll see how he gets on.
2 years ago today, high definition was favourite for the 2021 Epsom Derby, and that kind of racing, for those that don't know, does not include hurdles. This does, but to turn up in a good competitive maiden there over Christmas at Leopardstown and win a 27 runner maiden quite easily, obviously getting to know the game, jumping hurdles in public for the first time. I mean, look, I should be all over this horse with form figures like this. Hukum, I backed that day, by the way, Hukum, Alpinista Baid, I just think he's interesting. I thought he was as slow as a boat over the flat. But look, if he can go in them colours with these connections, if he can go and do something on the jumps, I'm absolutely all for it. Would you be picking anything in the other 6 runners behind Facile Vega Hump to maybe in the without markets? They're not up yet, but it's pretty open other than Facile Vega.
In the pocket has got good form. Obviously, 3-card Bragg came out and won at Fairy House over 2 mile 3 last time. So there's form in there. That's got a 133 rating, so it's not the highest in the world. And then Absolute Notions was 4.5 lengths back from that, but obviously that runs. I think that runs in the novice hurdle on the Nathaniel Lacey on the first day. I think that's still in for Gordon Elliott. So we'll get a line of form there, but. I think if there's, I'll be interested to see how they ride Facile Vega, because they can go from the front, they can hold him back. So we'll see how we get on. But I think if you are gonna do one, then I would be interested in high definition or in the pocket, sort of without a Facile Vega. I don't know what prices they are, but maybe in the pocket without.
Yeah, nothing up yet, but I would guess that in the pocket without's going to be in the region of 2 to 1, 5 to 2 if you're lucky. Could be a really quite a competitive market that without. If you look, you've got that high definition is going to be the favourite in that market, followed by 3 or 4 horses that are basically the same price, and then one with no chance at all. So, yeah,
one thing it is in the pocket has got I've looked on the Sporting Life. It's got an original rate. It's got a rating of 137. Now that's Facile Vega's got a 153 to put it into perspective of what the horse has got to run to a to get close to this thing. That's quite a phenomenal amount of improvement that you're going to need. But in there you've got sort of Irish Point, who's loves won at the start of the year, has come second twice afterwards, 143. There's not a lot of improvement to finish second in this race. I think it's well within the range of in the pockets to do, and I think that without, I think you've got a chance. It also beat Joyeux Machen, who I quite like for Paul Nolan, but that seems to have gone a bit. That horse seems to have gone a bit west. It pulled up at Newbury in the Challow last time, which is a bit of a shame. But it did have good form after that. Before that, sorry. But yeah, in the pocket for me without Facile Vega.
That's in the 410. Last race we're going to look at, Hump, the 140 Grade 1 novice chase here. Again, I know very little about these boys and girls.
This is actually going to be, I think this could be, this could be a good match between James de Burley and Mighty Potter, to be honest. Mighty Potter's obviously very short. I think 11 to 10, 5 to 4, something along those kind of lines. It's 2 mile 4 just seems to be the absolute perfection for this. As we mentioned before, it beat Banbridge over 2 mile 4. Now we know Banbridge's distance probably isn't, or it could be 2 mile 4, but not on bad ground. But this Mighty Potter seems to win on soft. Good to soft. It looks fairly looks like a fairly good horse for Gordon Elliott, Dave Russell, who could have a bit of a thin weekend if we're being truthful. And there's not a lot of. I expected a couple more Elliott horses in. Not the case, which is a bit of a shame. But there you go. You can't. It does seem to be a bit of a Willie Mullins festival. But this James de Burley is very interesting because they ran it. It finished 9th of 10 in the champion hurdle. And then they went to Punchestown over 2 miles champion hurdle. They went to Punchestown in the Stayers hurdle there, and it finished 9 lengths behind Classical Dream there. Now, whether it came over from France with a high profile, but then the first time they put him over fences, he absolutely he did him an absolute rocker. He was on to 4 again. The question, the race quality can be questioned, but to win by 15 lengths on your first sort of try over fences, in Ireland is really, 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 really good. I think it's going to be a good match between those two. I think if you were to, I think James de Burley could upset Mike Potter here, but we'll see how he gets on. Obviously, Mike Potter's a 160 horse, which is really high for him, but he's probably earned that rating. But yeah, James de Burley to beat Mighty Potter, I think, in that race, yeah.
Nice, yeah, 3-1 against a 5-4 shot. I like it, Hump. And a load of these markets could change just with so many Mullins runners. I just think a load of them could flip flop on the day. There is some shorties, but there's some that are quite competitive. And this being one of them. Gordon Elliott, who trained his first winner at Meydan last Friday, believe it or not.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. Trained his first winner there. So yeah, nice one there for one of Gordon's staff members. Are having a nice little holiday in Meydan because he's ran twice now, that horse, and will probably stay there. So good luck to whoever's having a holiday in Meydan.
Someone's got to look after them. What a tough job that must be.
Right, well, plenty covered there, Hum. A couple of nice potential bets to have as well. A couple without the favourite, all covered. How much is a pint of Guinness going to cost you at Leopardstown this weekend? Will it be as much as £7.50?
It will, all being well, it will probably be about €5.50, all being well. If it's €6, we can deal with it. If it's €7.50, I think there'll be riots.
Well, wait and see. Right, we've gone through everything there, so we'll be back soon. And yeah, thanks to Hump for giving us the lowdown there, and tune in for more racing and darts content at Doubles and Trebles. Thank you.